Raskin.
We bestow the medal knowing that America would not have survived were it not for people like him, who generation after generation have always renewed the extraordinary gift of freedom.
Medic Al Raskin and his friend Neil Haffey were just teenagers when they went to Vietnam. But what happened there, neither would ever forget. It was the 16th of March 1966, and the young soldiers were close to enemy lines in a reconnaissance platoon.
It was a very tense time. We saw a lot of troop movement in the area. We uncovered a big cache of weapons. I'm talking tons of weapons. It was as though you were blowing up a balloon just waiting for it to pop.
They spotted an enemy machine gun nest up ahead, and Neil Haffey opened fire.
As soon as I got one round into it, all hell broke loose.
Machine gun fire was going off, small arms were going off, hand grenades were being thrown at each other.
The squad was pinned down. Neil watched powerless as a close friend was killed just a few feet away.
I just lost it. I just stood up, starting to run over to where he was. At that point, this enemy soldier, as close as you are to me, shot me point blank.
Seeing Neil badly wounded, Al Raskin jumped up and rushed towards him, ignoring a hail of bullets.
And as I'm trying to get towards Haffey, hand grenades are thrown at him.
One landed maybe 3 or 4 feet away from me. And I thought it was my turn to go. I thought definitely I was going to be dead within the next couple of seconds. And I remember just turning my head because I didn't want to see death coming.
With his friend in mortal danger, Al Raskin made a split-second life-and-death decision.
You're looking at a person that you know, and you have no other choice than to take care of that person. Whether your life is going to be taken away, you don't know.
I was expecting the grenade to go off any second. I was just closing my eyes and waiting for it, and all of a sudden this heavy weight just jumped right on top of me, and it was stuck.
I had no choice but to cover him with my body.
Al used his own body to shield his friend. Taking the full force of the grenade blast himself, Al was so badly wounded that the chaplain gave him his last rites.
I think there are things that are done out of instinct, things you can't come back and plan for. It's not a condition where you have the privilege to come back and think about it. It's something you just do.
I believe Doc was going on instinct and adrenaline when he was doing all this. He wasn't thinking. I think even a medic of Doc's caliber, if he would have thought it out, he wouldn't have done it.
30 years later, Al Raskin was given the Medal of Honor.
I'm very thankful for what Al did. You know, I've had a good life so far. I've had a good career. I have a beautiful family and places I never would have been able to go dead. So I can't thank him enough. You know, I try, but I can't.
Al risked his own life to save his friend. He believes he did it on instinct. But why would instincts to protect people who are not related to us have evolved? Scientists have found clues that help us understand why we all have instincts to help our friends. The evidence lies half a world away, with a particularly bloodthirsty animal.
Here, in the jungles of Costa Rica, there lives a remarkable species of mammal which is closer to us than you might like to think. Life is very tough for these animals indeed, but they found a method of coping which sets them apart. They help each other, and they do this by swapping something really rather gruesome. This behaviour is almost unique in the animal kingdom, but it's crucial to their survival. And they live here in the rainforest beneath me. In this large hollowed tree, there live several different species of bat. And in a few minutes, as it begins to get dark, they'll fly out and look for food. Now, the species of bat that I'm interested in doesn't live on fruit or insects, which is usual. They have a slightly more exotic diet.
These bats inspired a Gothic horror story. And just like the mythical monster, they are creatures of the night. So we filmed them with a night vision camera to get really close to them.
It's obvious from his teeth what this bat feeds on. This is a colony of vampires. They drink blood and they're hungry. Oh, you vicious brute. Look at your evil face. I'm going to let you go.
Despite their Dracula-like fangs, feasting on blood is not as easy as it sounds. Just like the fictional character, real vampires have only a few short hours to feed before dawn. The victims are often farm animals. Gruesome as this may look, the sleeping victim is unaware. The bat's saliva numbs the wound, whilst ensuring a steady flow of blood.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and the vampires are flying home. Hopefully, they all will have found food. These animals have a very rapid metabolism, so just 48 hours without a meal means certain death. But this is where these resourceful creatures come into their own. For those unlucky enough to come home still hungry, help is at hand.
The vampires live in small groups that have evolved to cooperate. One bat will regurgitate blood for another bat who's failed to find food. This generosity makes a dramatic difference to the survival chances of the whole colony. But beware any bat who takes blood and refuses to return the favour. They'll be remembered and shunned in future.
This kind of generous behaviour is exceptionally rare. In fact, vampire bats are one of the only species ever found that remembers favours for more than a brief, fleeting moment. Except for we humans, of course. Thank you.
As animals go, we humans are really very generous indeed. In fact, we are naturally the most generous of animals by far.
Most of us would think nothing of lending somebody the money for lunch or buying a round of drinks in the pub. But exactly like the bats, when we're generous, our instincts are crying out for us to be repaid. Cheers.
After all, being generous might backfire. We could leave ourselves vulnerable to people who take but don't give in return.
It's pretty annoying being conned out of a pint of beer.
But there was rather more at stake for our distant ancestors. In the harsh prehistoric world of early humans, not being repaid could mean starvation and death.